I missed your faces. Oh,
Yeah, I miss all your faces. Hey, what is up, everybody? We are live on the SideQuest, your weekly-ish journey into the wonderful world of video games, video game culture, and really the coolest people that are ever on the planet. We love seeing all your faces, even though Katie said she loves seeing ours. We love hearing all of your voices and seeing all the comments and all that good stuff. I don't even know what reading. I don't even know what's going on right now. Sorry. Here's the alcohol that I needed. Hey, I'm Dolly. Joining me is the one, the only, the _J. JJ.
Hey there. How's it going?
How are you, my friend?
Oh, it's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, sure has, my dude. It sure has. Also, joining is the fantastic Sam. Fantastic Sam. No relation to the haircut place.
Yeah, Fantastic Sam.
Yeah.
Is that a local reference?
It might be. I don't know if there's
because there's definitely Fantastic Sams around here. So
true. There
wait,
you go.
is it a haircut chain?
Yeah, there's a haircut. There's a haircut chain known as Fantastic Sam's. Yeah.
The more you know.
It's pretty amazing. And that wonderful voice you heard making her phenomenal return, Katie Goodman.
Hello.
How are you?
You know, surviving the year.
I know.
2020 as it goes.
It's the best you can hope for at this point.
Yeah, you know, we're alive. I can work. So, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
That's really all you can say right now is, this is where we are and this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I've been trying to stay away from the news a little more, distance myself from that some. So,
Same.
And that's helped my psyche some.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
How are you guys?
Excellent. We are good. I have alcohol. I am not watching any more debates. I think I'm done.
No, it's over.
Forget the debates going on right now. Just enjoy us. There'll be no debate. There may actually be some debating, but it'll be about video games, and that's all there'll be. That's all there'll be. We're gonna have a fun show. I want to talk a little bit about what we've been playing over the last week, and then we're gonna do just a quick little tag in of some news, and then I really want to get to the fun part, which is our favorite games of the past decade. We never really did it. We talked about doing that for so long on the podcast, on the site. We said let's just kind of do it up on the episode at the end of this decade, essentially, right? Or no, the decade ended at 2019 and 20. I don't even know anymore.
So is it the last gen or is it the last decade?
I mean, that's mostly the same. Looking at my list, I'm like, it's basically the same right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of what it seems like. So it's the last decade, but the last gen kind of owned the majority of the last decade. So
there were a couple that were on my list that were like on the very precipice of the release. So I don't really know if those would count or not because they were not released on the Xbox One.
Listen, I'm not going to be screaming over you in that debate. You can say whatever, and I'll be totally cool with whatever your choices are. Okay, let's get into what we've been playing, Katie, since it's the first time having you back on the show in a while. What are you playing? What have you been playing lately?
Oh, man. So a couple weeks ago, I beat The Last of Us 2, and I loved it.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
It was an amazing journey. It's so good. It's brilliant. But after playing that, I needed to play something that was a little more just kind of relaxing. So I picked up Breath of the Wild, finally. And I am super into it right now. Unfortunately, I can't put it on my list because I have a feeling it would be on my list. Honorary shout out. But yeah, so Breath of the Wild, it's been awesome.
I've been talking about the last few weeks. I finally got back into it, and because I never finished it the first time around. I did now finally 3 years later, and wow. Wow. I'm giving you guys a sneak peek that's on my list. I'm giving you guys a sneak peek. But yeah, good. Okay, anything else, or is that what you're kind of working through right now?
That's what I'm working through right now. I picked up a Diablo 3 just to kind of pick it back up again and play with my boyfriend, but other than that, yeah.
Diablo 3 is a fun game to just be like, you know what, whatever. It's Diablo 3, and it works.
Press the right trigger and drink a glass of wine, and that's what we do.
Ooh, Diablo with wine sounds like a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Excellent. Sam, what have you been playing lately, buddy?
Just Genshin Impact. In all honesty, I saw, and hopefully JJ is going to talk about it a little bit. I saw that Squadrons came out, and I'm interested in playing that. I have a flight stick, Flight Simulator was great for the first like week and a half, and then I got
Everyone
tired.
Dropped that game quickly.
Well, I mean, I just got tired of flying over my house and being like, "Yeah, look, this is the area I live in. How cool!" Like, because there's just not like there was like challenges and there's like flight paths and stuff and those landing challenges, but you can bang out those landings if you're good at flying in like under an hour or so. So
yeah.
Yeah, I want to play that, but no, it's just been Genshin Impact because, as I said last week, the ability to play the nonsense I have to do at daily event stuff on a phone when you're just like kind of burning time throughout the day, and then getting to play on your television, cool adventuring Breath of the Wild type stuff.
Are you playing Genshin Impact on your phone too?
Yes, so yeah, you can play it on mobile and PC, cross save and cross play.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can't do it on the PlayStation 4. So your save and the being the ability to play with other players are just locked to the PlayStation 4 as of now. Hopefully they change that. But yeah, it's actually it's a lot of fun. It's Breath of the Wild with kind of platinum style combat, I guess I would say, like Nair style combat. Just mashing your basic attack and occasionally doing a couple of magic spells and combining that with other magics and attacks from switching out characters with elemental abilities quickly. It's fun. I finally started doing co-op. If you play with one other person, you can both take two people in and mix and match characters and stuff like that to get through some content. Bigger bosses. You can't do any main story missions or certain content when somebody's in your world, but I think they want you to run those domains and like the Spiral Abyss, which is basically their end game content.
Are you playing with mouse and keyboard or using a controller on the PC?
I'm using a controller on PC.
Okay. I think that might be the first quote unquote bigger game that I get for my new PC. So I think I'll download that tonight and go from there.
The one annoying bit about playing with a controller is every time you start that game, you have to use mouse and keyboard to log in, and you have to go into settings and switch it to controller every time.
It's amazing. I think I read the stat today. It's not in the news, but the first week or since launch, Genshin Impact's made $60 million on mobile, since launch on mobile. Yeah,
it had some ridiculous download number for the first week also. It's fun. I mean, I'm not planning on ever spending money. I say that usually with free to play games, if I'm going to play it for over a year, like if I look and it's August next year and I'm still playing Genshin Impact, or every once in a while, like I'll give it $5 to $10 because I feel like if I get that much time out of it, you earn some money out of me.
Get that limited time deal. Like this is you only get one of these at $5. I'm like, yeah, right.
You know what it was? There was I'm sure I've talked about it on this show. Avengers Academy was a free to play like Avengers story game, and I looked at it at some point and I had played it for like a year and a half, and I was like, next time a character comes up that I want like $5 into this game, like I'm gonna do it. Like I've played it for a year and a half, I haven't spent any money. As soon as I did that, like 2 updates from that, it's like, oh, by the way, we're shutting the game down. Sorry, it didn't work out. Not enough people spent money. I'm like, God damn it.
You're like, I was almost there.
So hopefully this one, making all that money, won't be doing that anytime soon. But in the long run, will free to play be a viable option? So far, it seems like yes. There's no PvP content right now, at least that I'm aware of. So there's no really any reason you need to have the super great characters other than, maybe earning a little bit more runes or level up experience or whatever in later dungeons. Cool. Whatever.
Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact, yes. Great so far. But that's all I've been playing.
Okay. Cool. JJ, what about you?
Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah, tell us about Star Wars Squadrons.
That game's fantastic.
Okay.
I don't have a bad thing to say about Star Wars Squadrons. It's like there's no like anything anything to it. It's $40 and it's got 3 modes. You get a single player campaign, you get deathmatch, and you get something called I forget what it's like, fleet control or fleet combat or something, and that's it. It's 5v5, and you're the New Republic versus the Galactic Empire, and each side has 4 ships, and it's all X-Wing TIE Fighter, first-person space battles, and it's all in VR too, if you want it to be. That's cool. I've been playing a lot of it on PS4 in VR, which is wild. It's really good.
That's the mode I've wanted to try it in, is the VR mode.
Yeah, it's really good in VR. It really feels like it's unfortunate because you want to like reach out and like touch the consoles and stuff, but you just can't. It doesn't work that way. But
one day
we'll get that haptic feedback going. But yeah, it's and there's no microtransactions, there's no DLC, there's no anything. It's just, here you go. Play.
Wow.
Yeah, and you unlock cosmetic stuff by like just leveling up and playing the game. It has like daily missions, like, play dogfight 3 times to get some, points to that you can maybe put towards pilot skins or ship skins, and they have like internal cosmetics, like you can have like a little like Darth Vader action figure propped up on your cockpit and stuff. It's great. It's simple. It's one of those things where nobody seems to be all caught up in themselves. Everyone's just having a good time. The fleet controller, I can't remember what it's called, is like the meat of the thing, because it's the one that has a ranked mode. Like there's no ranked dogfighting, and it's just like they throw you into battle, and you like this mode has bots in it too. So if you take down bots, it increases your little the little tug of war meter. It increases it a little bit. If you take down a player controlled ship, it increases it more. And once you get it to your section, it's when you can start taking out some of the larger vehicles, and once you take those out, then you can go after the big Star Destroyer or the big rebel, the Tantive or whatever. And and then that's the that's the core of that mode, and it's great. It is. You can get lost in it for a significant amount of time.
This really feels like a game that would be perfect as a new gen, next gen launch title. They should have released this as an upgraded ray trace version on next gen at launch, right? I think that would have been a great showcase to have sort of a cheaper-ish game. I mean, it probably would have been $49.99 or something back then, but still, you could have a nice little visual masterpiece.
It's kind of a bummer because going into it, you could tell that they really didn't EA themselves didn't really care for the game, because there's not that much content in it. It's $40. There's no roadmap. There's no and in the future we're going to add Hoth or something. No, it's just you've got these 5 maps and these 4 ships, and that's it. But it's perfect for what it is. There's no I love it's got this cool thing going on where when you're in a fight, you can divert your power. So if you want to go heavy on your thrusters, you can push right or left on the D-pad. It puts most of your power to the thrusters, so you can move faster and hop into a sprint mode, press down the stick and you go faster. But it leaves you with less shields and less firepower. You're overheat quicker when you're firing and stuff. You can balance it out. You can go to more shields, and you can also choose, in some of the ships, where you want the shields. Do you want front shields? Do you want rear shields? But again, it slows you down and it weakens your firepower. If you go max firepower, you got strong firepower, but your shields are weaker and you don't move as fast. And you have a throttle slider on the side, so if you get it right in the middle, it lets that's perfect for your quick turns and stuff when you're trying to dodge homing missiles and things like that. And and you just get kind of consumed into the Star Wars universe as just the story mode's kind of more a tutorial than anything. I mean, it's there. And
you got both sides of the both sides of the Force, right?
Yeah. It's popping back and forth.
Yeah.
it starts off with the only storyline you can tell when you make somebody, like when you make the dark side part of, or the Galactic Empire part of the storyline, where it's like you have a defector kind of stuff. That's the only story you can tell that has any sort of like, because it's I don't like playing as space Nazis. It's by this point in the story they have blown up at least 2 planets with the Death Star, so it's because this is like the first mission takes place almost immediately after Alderaan.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, and then like the next, I think the bulk of it seems to take place like just after Return of the Jedi. It seems like so. But I can't really. I don't really care what time frame it is. You're just the New Republic and the Empire, and you've got on the you got an X-wing, a Y-wing, an A-wing, and a U-wing. Well, the U-wings are kind of underrepresented. They're these kind of like they're obviously U-shaped, and the wings can spread outwards and stuff. They're pretty cool there, and they each have their own thing. It's like, you know, the X-wing's the all-around, the Y-wing's the bomber, the A-wing's the like interceptor or something, you know, it's the little quick nimble one, and the Y-wing is sort of like support, where it's got like heavy shields, but it's not fast and it's not particularly strong. But and on the Empire side, you have a basic TIE fighter, you have a TIE bomber, you have the advanced TIE, and you have a Reaper TIE, which is similar. And it's yeah, and that's all you get. And it's perfect. It's perfect for what it is. I highly recommend it, especially at $40. Like, and if you have a VR headset, there's no question about it.
Sure.
It's PSVR. It looks great. Yeah, PSVR. It looks great. I'm running it on a Pro, so I don't have a lot of problems with that. And I'm assuming the PC version, the better the setup you have, I can't imagine there being many problems with it. So no problems getting into games. People seem to be feeling it. So yeah.
You know what I've always kind of found really sort of funny? So you mentioned like the X-wing and the A-wing and everything. Yeah. This is off topic, but it fits in. They're called the X-wing. They're called the A-wing. But those letters don't exist.
Those letters don't exist
in the Star Wars alphabet.
There's definitely not an XAB. The Arabish does not contain.
Yeah,
those letters,
right.
But
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's funny. I for some reason I was looking up Star Wars alphabet the other day, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, there are no there's technically not an X.
Now I'm going to be taken out of the world completely whenever I hear the word X-wing.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is about this game is it. So last year, obviously, there hasn't been. It's been a couple of years since there's been a Battlefield game, and Battlefront game. And last year they released Jedi Fallen Order. God, 2019 feels like it was. Even though it's so long ago, it feels like it was just yesterday. It's so weird. Anyways, Jedi Fallen Order was last year. This year was Squadrons, and both the games were kind of. They're kind of, I don't want to say smaller in their own way. I mean, definitely Squadrons.
Fallen Order was not particularly small.
Yeah, but exactly. But I think they kind of weirdly work together really well from what EA is trying to, just from a, I'd love to see a next gen package of the two games.
Yeah, like Squadrons is so fundamentally not an EA game. Like,
sure. Okay.
Especially modern EA. It's so weird that this is just like, it's a cheap game. It's polished as all hell. It's well made, and they've said it multiple times that there's no download, there's no roadmap, there's no updates, there's no DLC, there's no microtransactions. There's nothing you could do to make microtransactions because all the cosmetics are unlockable like instantly. Like not instantly, but as long as you play, you're gonna get that stuff. So. And it's not going to take that long to grind, and most of it's not even that interesting. Like it's like there's only like for the most part it's just like, you know, racing stripes. Like there's only like each ship only has like 2 kind of like special skins to them. But other than that, it's really is just a game for people to like play and enjoy. Like there's not going to be a esports scene, but it's nice to have. I mean, it is. The spiritual, because people will say because of the title that it's a Rogue Squadron like spiritual successor, but it's not. It's absolutely not. It is an X-wing TIE fighter spiritual successor.
I think what they're, in a weird way, you know, they did kind of put this out, they polished it up, put it out, but I think part of me also wonders if this is sort of a test for, is there is there an appetite for this type of game? And then they can really go all in on a true MMO style game.
And after the beating that they took with I can never remember. Is it Battlefield, right?
Battlefront is a Star Wars.
Battlefront. I'll never get that right the first time. Like after the beating they took over Battlefront 2, like to go back to back, like there wasn't anything with Fallen Order, and there's absolutely nothing with this game. And it's just like we're not going to do any of that stuff. People yelled at us nonstop. Battlefront 2 died a slow death. I don't like. Nobody's like it. People still play it, but not a lot. It's like they just. I don't know. It almost seems like this was at a part of it feels because like there was not much marketing outside of like the early E3 stuff for Squadron. Like there was nothing about
that 1 week.
Yeah. But there's nothing about it, so it just feels like they kind of begrudgingly made this game. But the studio behind it was Votive, I think.
Votive Studio. Yeah, EA Votive.
You could tell they really cared. And they really tried, and they really hammered.
That's cool.
They nailed it. It's great. Highly recommended.
Meanwhile, Anthem is like sitting there.
Yeah. Man.
Promised, and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
I feel so bad because Apex Legends came out right before. Was it right before or right after Anthem? Either way, Apex Legend killed all the Anthem momentum, and who knows what's happening with Anthem 2.0? We don't know.
It's not a good game either. It was just not.
Oh, really?
No, it was not. I paid full price for it. And
Katie.
No.
It's been showing up. Like people found it at like Dollar Tree. Like.
Oh yeah. I think it's at like five. What are they? Five Below. I think they had it sitting there for a while. Yeah. All right. Squadrons. I am interested in this game, and I think, to be honest, that price point is kind of on the money.
And also at that price
point, I don't feel
point,
bad at all.
Yeah, it's also at that price point, you know that it's going to be like $20, like
on Black Friday for sure. That's gonna be like $19.99. Got it. Cool. Anything else you've been playing, or that's kind of?
I started Genshin Impact, but I'm just so barely into it that I have no opinion to really.
I downloaded it on my phone just now, so. I played. I mentioned last week. I've been playing Alwa's Legacy, which is just the more I play it, the more I'm really, really liking the game. It's a Metroidvania. I hate calling it Metroidvania. It's more Metroid, and Castlevania kind of came in and started using that format. But Alwa's Legacy is so charming, and it's laid out really well. I mean, they make for anybody that hasn't played it, it's sort of it's kind of set in a fantasy world. It's a weird kind of reboot, re-sequel type of thing of the first Alwa's game, Alwa's Awakening, but it's a blast, and the main character, she's got like some like different spells and stuff that she unlocks along the way. But it's so good. It's so good, so charming, and the environments, I think, are what really make this game. It reminds me a lot of. It's not Metroid, definitely not Metroid, but it reminds me of Symphony of the Night. This is where the Metroidvania comes in. If it was much more playful, so maybe more like really, you know what, Castlevania 2-ish in a weird way, because. It's very playful, but there's some in this case, there's some really good platforming and some cool elements. So anyways, I still gotta get my full review of that one up. But I really dig that game, and it's got some good replayability too. But I've also been playing Mario 35. I got my first win, and I was so happy for that. And it's the first time that I've like consistently won in any type of battle royale game. Like I still haven't won in Tetris 99, still haven't won a whatever Tetris Maximus, but I won Mario 35 because literally all you have to do in that game is learn to survive. You don't even have to take on the other players. You're literally just playing a Mario game, and if you happen to last long enough, great. The only reason I don't end up winning is because of my own stupidity, not because of what somebody else does.
But that's Mario. Like the only time you ever really die in Mario is when you've made the mistake. You jumped too soon.
Exactly. Yeah. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that.
Yeah. But like at the same time, it's like it's okay.
It's
okay. It's
okay.
Fine. I wish they went a little crazier with the stuff. I wish
Well, I guess there were some really interesting videos that people popped up of like thousands of enemies, but apparently like there's been some data mining that they may be including levels from other Mario games on there. So
weird.
So my friend sent me this video of something crazy happening in his Mario game, and now I realize that it's probably this game.
Probably.
So I was like, what is happening? There was a bunch of stuff going on the sides. I've never.
Yep, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. If you have Switch Online, you get it for free. But it's one of those things. It's just like you try it out, play a few rounds. You're like, okay, I'm kind of done.
I always thought it was going to be one of those, because remember they're like delisting it after March, and I just assumed it was like, oh, you can't get it anymore. I didn't know it was, oh, you can't play it anymore.
You can't play it anymore after March.
It's like, yeah, okay, Mario, the Mario 3DS All-Stars, like, okay, yeah, you can't buy it anymore. You can still play it. You just can't buy it again. But this one, no, it's like, nope, that's it. See ya.
This one you won't be able to, exactly. So yeah, I've been playing that. I finally won, so I was pretty happy. And then I little odds and ends here, like Octopath Traveler. I'm still just going through my backlog of games right now, waiting for like the big drops in November and the new consoles. And I know we were talking about in the Discord a little bit, and that's going to, I want to have a semi-clean slate. I've sold a bunch of games, like physical copy, especially all the stuff that you get on Game Pass and the PS5's kind of little
ambassador program.
The ambassador program. I've sold all the physical copies of games that I have, which, by the way, I will say one thing before we get into the news here. Selling physical copies of games, I've met some super cool, awesome people. And I'm like, hey, I think TJ was today. Hey, TJ, hopefully you're watching now. And a couple other folks, like, I'm like, hey, by the way, I know you're giving me like $6 for the original Red Dead Redemption on 360, but which you can basically get for free on like Game Pass and stuff. But watch my podcast. Go to the blog. It's weird marketing for me, but I've been on a selling spree and reducing the physical stuff that I have in anticipation for the next gen. Let's move on to some news real quick here, then we'll get into our games of the decade. So I wanted to touch on just a couple things. You guys saw that PlayStation 5 teardown? That basically IKEA builds a PS5. This is the parts you get. Sony Japan showed a teardown. There's been a few PS5 things going on. Sony showed a teardown of the PS5. Everything that goes into it, some of the main components. I think for me, I think everybody's kind of noticing the same thing. It is freaking enormous. It's as big as the guy sitting at the table. Yeah.
It could kill him if it
kill him if it fell over. Yeah, it's unreal. It's unreal. Look at some of the GIFs or GIFs, and look at the images. They are giant, but it's huge. No one knows what that mystery nut is because it didn't talk about it, but it's probably just some stupid attachment thing. That's been people are talking about it. One thing I did find really interesting about the PS5, other than the giant turbine fan that it has built into it, is the hands-on impressions that Japanese YouTubers and influencers and press have been getting over the last week. By the way, shout out to Tyler Callahan, our newest editor on SideQuesting. Hey, Tyler, great job. Did a quick little write-up on some of the PS5 hands-on stuff that he was finding online. What interested me most, I mean, nothing. I didn't think there was anything in there that was really all that super groundbreaking, except that
huge. Sorry.
No, there you go. She's it's giant. I don't know if I don't think it's gonna fit in my office, in my stupid IKEA shelf in my office. But they've switched the X and O buttons, right? I think on or is it X and triangle? I can't remember. They've switched to the two buttons for selections in Japan, which in the US I think, was it the X? I don't have my controller with me. Is it the X button to select, or is it the triangle button? I can't remember.
Historically, it was X. They didn't change it for Metal Gear Solid, so it was always, that was my first experience to knowing that the O button is okay in Japan.
Yeah, and they switched it now for the PS5 in Japan, and that's freaking them out.
So I wonder then if it's going to be more similar to the Nintendo Switch controls. Because the Switch is like the opposite as well.
Yeah. Switch, you back out with B and you select with A. So yeah,
every once in a while, I have an adapter that lets me use my Xbox controller on my Switch. And so I'll be using my Elite controller on the Switch to play some stuff.
Lucky.
And it will be like, my brain knows I'm holding an Xbox controller, so it's saying press B, so I'm actually pressing the Xbox B instead of the
there you go.
Nintendo B.
Yeah,
my brain, I cannot fix it. I've
tried
time and time to fix that in my brain. It doesn't work.
I just had an awesome Kickstarter idea, and someone's going to steal it, which is totally fine. Caps, like a special, like a overlay that you could just stick over the Xbox controller buttons that just puts a new little logo on the buttons. But just one big sticker that goes over all of them, like a pre-printed, and then you know it. Okay, there's the idea there. Okay, my $1 million idea. I'm kickstarting this.
The problem with that is it's not that I'm looking at it in CB.
It's a muscle memory.
It's holding an Xbox controller. Yeah, and an Xbox controller, that's P. So, no, you need. I just need to get in there and switch them around.
Purposefully switch them.
Yeah. I have died in Zelda so many times because of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, luckily now Nintendo actually lets you switch buttons like, at a console level, so that's kind of nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you can remap
Genshin
stuff.
Impact makes you play with the B and A swapped.
Yeah,
and that's not great when you're hanging out around like the money shop, and it's like, oh, you want to confirm or deny, and it's just like, I want to quit the program.
Because it has everything that feels kind of like Breath of the Wild. I do constantly want to play it like Breath of the Wild, and you cannot do anything at all similar.
Nice. Excellent. Speaking of Breath of the Wild and Nintendo stuff, we have a couple quick Nintendo things here. Super Nintendo Worlds has been apparently the opening of that theme park in Japan has been delayed to 2021. I thought it was always going to be 2021. I guess it was still tentatively 2020.
It was It was this year in Japan. It was 2021 or 2022 in Hollywood.
Yeah,
and it was going to be 2023 or 2024 in Florida.
Okay, well, Japan is on 2021. Yeah.
Who knows what the California theme park?
Yeah, but it looks cool. I will say it's punching all those buttons.
I do appreciate that. In order to get into it, you have to go through a warp pipe.
Yes, how cool is that? That's so awesome. Yeah. I guarantee you it makes that sound too, right?
Yeah, that would be irritating. Like every time somebody walks in it makes that sound. You would just be
thousands of times
over and over and over.
It would have to work there.
Yeah, imagine being the poor guy that has to work at the door. But you do get those cool bands, right? They give you the band that you link up to your Nintendo account.
You interact with stuff. Yeah, Universal has really stepped up their game in terms of theming lately because I'm not a Harry Potter person at all, but when I went to Florida,
we're a Potter fan. Yeah.
When I went to Florida, I went to the whole thing, and boy, they really went all in.
Yes, they did.
Like to get on, you can travel between the two because they have the two Hogwarts
in the two parks.
And
it's the train.
Yeah, to get on the train, and it is the coolest train because it's like you're looking out the window, but you're not really looking out a window. It's a video screen, so you're just seeing like actual like movie scenes and the doors are shut, and it's got like the silhouettes of the characters walking by and stuff, and it's so cool. Super immersive. It is Disney levels of immersive, and which is Universal is not known for. Universal likes to do the wink and the nudge, like you're in the movie kind of thing, like. They don't really like, but up until now. Now it's this clearly the Nintendo.
I'm so excited.
Looks like it's doing the same thing. Like you're being transported into the Mushroom Kingdom, and it looks fantastic.
Well, and a little bit of Microsoft news and Nintendo news in that Steve from Minecraft is the next battler in Super Smash Brothers. That one was rumored for a while, right?
Since, since DLC was announced, it was like. Maybe not necessarily rumored, but like everyone was trying to will it into existence.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Everyone was trying to will it into existence. Yeah. It happened.
Because Minecraft is, no matter what system it's on, Minecraft is like the most popular game on the system. Like,
it's so wild. That it's still doing so well.
You bring up the Apple App Store, and it's still like #1 bought game on the iPhone.
Exactly.
Like, how does everyone not own this game? I own Minecraft, and I've played it for a collective of like 4 minutes.
But what I found really kind of interesting was they're going all in on the mining aspect of it, to the point where people who are like religious Minecraft players may actually have a strange advantage with Steve in this. Like Ryan Gann, good old Ryan, who Smash Brothers and Minecraft, and now a little bit of Animal Crossing. Those are his like two biggest, most played games. If you ever see his Switch playtime, he's got like almost 2,000 hours in Smash and like 1,000 hours in Minecraft. And I'm thinking he probably had to be tied down, otherwise he was gonna like fly off into space. But he's gonna be. It's like the two worlds for him are coming together. He'll be able to do the mining portion, which he's really good at, and the crafting, because there's actual crafting in this.
Oh man!
Each level had to be updated and sort of redesigned, so you can get. I guess Sakurai-san was saying that they needed to redesign everything so they can get the right materials in each level. So that way, when you're doing the digging and mining, you're pulling out the correct materials. Detail.
There's no half measures with Sakurai. That's why he always looks so tired.
Yeah, he looked tired. And I mean, some of the lines that he said in his both the episodes, the direct and the thing on Saturday were hilarious.
Treehouse,
I think, the thing. So, anyways, that's coming next.
That's now 2 Microsoft reps in Smash Brothers. So.
Yes, correct, and 0 Sony reps. Sorry. The next one they'll probably announce. I'm actually thinking the next one they'll announce at the Game Awards more than likely.
You'd think there would be, considering they're doing this Mario push, like they'd figure out like a new Mario character to shove into it for the 35th anniversary.
Yeah.
What that would be, I have no idea. But
an 8-bit Mario. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, do it like Mario 35 Mario. Where it's
sure.
Some weird
gold Mario or silver, one of those things. News-wise, that's basically. I was going to mention that there's yet another Resident Evil film in the works. There's like 18 Resident Evil projects going on right now. Netflix has like 7. There's some in theaters. I don't know. There's so much Resident Evil stuff happening.
Yeah, there's the new TV show, animated TV show thing.
There's the Wesker Kids. There's a CGI show, and now there's the reboot of the movie series, and now there's like the whole Monster Hunter teaser film. It's supposedly still coming out in December. Good luck with that. But anyways, I was going to mention that. But
I've seen every single one of those stupid fucking movies. And
I've got through like 3 of them so far. I think my goal will be the rest of this month to watch the rest of these.
The third one is the last time. Yeah, the third one is the last time they tried to do anything, even like
remotely
to make it game related. But then like after that, it just went off the rails. Like they'll try to throw game characters in, like Jill will show up, but she's like Resident Evil 5 style Jill, or she's like the brainwashed Jill. You're just like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
maybe they're making. I don't know what this one is. It's like a weird prequel reboot. Who knows?
Is Mia Jovovich gonna be in it?
What's that?
Is Mia Jovovich going to be in it?
No, not this time. No, because she's making the Monster Hunter movie.
Yeah, where she's a military expert thrown into an alternate reality with monsters.
Yep, and their helper in the person they meet in the movie is named Hunter. So, that works out great.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. Let's move on to the big topic. We got about the next 10 minutes or so. We can talk about some of our favorite games of the last decade, the last 10 years or so. And it's been to me, this has been like the wildest generation of games, because you've seen complete divergences. Like obviously the 8-bit and the 16-bit era, you could make the same game on both consoles, the Nintendo and the Genesis and stuff, and they were basically just 16-bit graphics, right? There weren't a ton of changes. There were a couple extra controller buttons here and there. The 32, 64-bit era got a little bit crazy because CDs and cartridges. But really, these last 10 years, from the Wii generation, Wii, Xbox 360, PS3, when things were all over the place, to from that point on, which the last 10 years touch on those. This is our third. We've had 3 Nintendo consoles in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
We're going to be bordering on 3 PlayStation and Xbox consoles and stuff at the end of this month. Or next month. So it's been just an absolute bonkers decade for games. But we wanted to talk about what some of our favorite as I'm following him, I see here what some of our favorite games are of these last. And this includes PC games as well. It could be mobile. I know Sam is. I already know which one of Sam's is going to be the mobile one. I almost like that one too. But yeah, let's talk about. I want to start with you, JJ. Because you said that we'd be able to tell exactly that these were JJ games.
These are all like several of them. I'll start with like my it eked in on the list kind of thing. Okay. Like it was sort of almost, but Portal 2.
Ooh.
I fucking love Portal 2. I play Portal 2 still. Like it ticks every box for me that I like. I like the puzzles. I like the jokes. It's funnier than the first Portal for the most part. Like the J.K. Simmons stuff still just rings in my head at all times.
Oh, it's all great.
It's all great. I love Portal. It's got great co-op.
Yeah.
The co-op in Portal 2 is fantastic. I gush about Portal 2. It's one of my favorites, all-time favorites. So. Not just like of the decade, but like the Portal franchise is like right up there of like all time with me. So
remember that was Valve's that was Steam on the PS3 was Portal 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you bought Portal 2 on the PS3, you got the PC version to go with it. So you got that upgrade to use the motion controls with the Move controllers.
Ooh. That was like the first. I remember Gabe Newell walking out on stage. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Gabe on the Sony stage."
Yeah, that was fun. That whole thing was fun. But yeah, no, Portal 2, that's the one that I barely put on that list. Journey.
Ooh.
Journey stuck with me like hard. It's beautiful, first of all, and I don't know. I got emotional playing Journey.
Sure.
It's like, it hits the soul in such a way, and that's sort of like. The way the multiplayer is integrated in it, where you can kind of ignore it, but also like there's something enjoyable about trying to help somebody along without saying anything, just using the environment or using the sort of bare bones bleeps and bloops that they give you in the game. And when that got moved to the PS4 and it like upgraded everything, like all the lighting got better and stuff, it was just like, and the soundtrack is fantastic.
I haven't played it on PS4 yet.
Oh, it's so good. That's the scene where you're just sliding down the sand and it goes into that side-scrolling section. Yeah. It's still just like
the camera pans around.
Yeah,
oh god,
you just
beautiful.
Get goosebumps with that still. I absolutely love Journey.
Yeah, I totally believe that emotional side. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's the first Last of Us.
Okay.
I love The Last of Us. I know in recent, especially with Last of Us 2 and sort of the discourse around it and sort of the language of violence in these games and stuff. Like, I get it, but at the same time, that first one in particular just was like, I got engrossed in that. It's as far as video game stories go, it's still, top tier. It's a great video game story and a great like story for like another medium are two completely different things. Like, I think it would make an average like movie. But
we'll find out the TV series, right?
Yeah, the TV series. Like, I think it'll be average at best with that. But as far as video games go, where it's something that's so interactive and sort of personal, where it's like you're on the journey with these characters in a much different way.
Sure.
So the storytelling can't be as definitive as like watching a movie and following these characters, but I just love it. Feels good. It looks good. It plays well. I like the story a lot. I really liked the sort of gray area of what's good in the original game.
Yeah.
They beat you over the head with it too much in 2, I think, but I still really like 2. But I think the first one's still a better game by a long shot.
Okay.
Number 4 on my list here, I guess it'd be number 2. It's Shovel Knight.
Oh yeah, what a great game!
I do not get enough Shovel Knight. I will play Shovel Knight probably till the day that I die. I fucking love Shovel Knight. I love everything about Shovel Knight. It doesn't play like an old school game. It just feels like what an old school game. It's like when I was talking about Panzer Paladin.
It feels like what it should, what you remember.
What you remember a 16-bit game, or because they always say 8-bit, but it's very clearly more 16-bit inspired. But just like it feels right. It feels like you're playing a Sega Genesis Super Nintendo game or something. Like all of those pieces just come together, and it had a great like extra content roadmap. Like that, like all of the DLC that came with it was really good. They added co-op later on, and it's funny. I love the soundtrack. It's a great chiptune soundtrack, and it's infinitely replayable for me. It's absolutely one of my favorite games of this decade by a long shot. It's not even
and they've
close.
expanded on it so much for free. For free.
Yeah. And they put out like the treasure chest and stuff, and it's like I think I own it on like everything. Like I have it on the PlayStation 3, the Vita, the 3DS, the Switch. Like I just have it everywhere, and I don't care like when I have to start over again. It's like it's fine.
Sure. It's fun.
I can just play this again. Yeah, it's fun. And I like that like, and they even added stuff like the Battletoads are in the Xbox version, and Kratos is in the PlayStation version.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's absolutely one of my all-time, like it's going to go down as one of my all-time favorites again. Like,
do you have the gold amiibo?
Absolutely, I have.
Absolutely.
And I've got all of the amiibos. I got the. But the number one game of this decade by a significant amount is Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Like it's not even close. It's absolutely not even close. It's that game on a JJ level is just perfect for me. It's
sure.
Everything. I've never been too big on like when it comes to things like Skyrim or Fallout or like any of those sort of like open world kind of things, like I don't know. I have to do them over the years. Like it took me like 4 years to beat Skyrim or something. That's just
I'm still chipping away at it too. I'm the same way. Still chipping away at it.
But Breath of the Wild, like I just got engrossed in every aspect of it, and that was the only thing I played for like 2 months. Like that was it. Like I didn't play anything else. Like I had stuff on the Switch and other systems, things were still coming out, but nope, it was all Breath of the Wild. And I'll still play Breath of the Wild. I'll start like I won't overwrite my save, but I'll like have a new profile and like just start a new game and experience all that again. I absolutely love it.
I'm so curious to see what direction they take Breath of the Wild 2 in.
Yeah. If it's more of the same, that's A-okay with me. Just change the map up just a little bit, and I'm fine.
So I need to go next, for a specific reason. I'll go with I'll go 5-1. Number 5 is and I had, it's funny because I had Last of Us and I scribbled it out, but I put in God of War because
very amazing thing.
I just completed it. I think I said like earlier this summer. Really enjoyed kind of where it went. Again, another one of those games that I had sitting on my pile. I'm so glad I went back to it. Terrifically written, fantastic characters, great acting. You learn to personally. I think I talked about it. I learned to hate and like, but mostly hate both Kratos and his son. Boy, because it's like, okay, guys, you're still doing this, but just such a memorable game with memorable experiences, and the direction they took Kratos as from a bloodthirsty murderer in like every other one of his games, just from action game to someone who's dealing with the consequences of all of his past actions. I thought that was pretty awesome, pretty phenomenal. So God of War. I listed Pokemon Go on there because it changed the way I use my mobile device and what I use my mobile device for, and kind of how I saw mixing games with the rest of the world. And I talked about it in the past. And Robin, back in the old days, Robin, when she was on the show with us, we talked about how you would go out and you would meet people because everybody was doing the same thing, walking around, holding their phone. And for that summer that Pokemon Go released, was unbelievable. And I met so many neighbors that summer because all of their kids were out Pokemon going, and all of the people were out kind of doing the same thing. And I thought, well, I'm never going to experience that again. I experienced it this past summer with everybody kind of being forced to stay at home and forced to just kind of walk around the neighborhoods. But that feeling of we're in this living world together, this giant open world, and you're just walking around your neighborhood hunting this little. And my daughter loved it. We got her to go outside as getting an only child to go outside and want to run around a neighborhood is very difficult to do. She loved it. So yeah, Pokemon Go. And then my number 3 was Journey for that same reason. Just absolutely beautiful. The things you can say about a game without saying, the things you can say in a game, the ways to communicate without saying, without speaking was unbelievable. And I learned I got attached to the person I was playing with, who was very likely an amalgam of like 4 people who just hop in and out, right? The way that game works. But I got attached to them. And when they weren't on the screen alongside me, I would feel a little bit of loss. I'd be like, where's my partner? Where's this person?
You almost feel like you betrayed them a little way.
Yeah. Like if I do anything wrong, I'm like, I can't believe I screwed something up. Yeah, completely. It was just absolutely magical. Number 2 was Portal 2 for the same exact things you said. It was it was a link between PC and console for me, was Portal 2, because I got in there and I thought, this is what all my Half-Life loving friends kept talking about, except this is the writing, and it featured like, actors and voice actors and writers of people that I absolutely loved. Stephen Merchant was in it. It's so well done, so memorable, and there really hasn't been a game like it since then. And then finally, number 1 was Breath of the Wild for me again. So 3 of my games are 3 of your games. Almost 4 with Last of Us, but yeah, I talked about it earlier with it's the game that I completed it, and I want to go back into that world and discover more. And this is when you talk about, it is the original Zelda game in that you just walk around and you explore and you figure out ways to do things on your own. And that's what and it's a living, breathing world. And I even mentioned it in the past. I completed the game without seeing like 3 towns. I did not go to 3 towns in the game and still complete this game. And I'm like, okay, I've got to get back into this world because there's so much to see and experience. And dang it, Hyrule is one continent on who knows what's happening in the rest of this planet. I want to explore all of it. So yeah, Breath of the Wild. It's I think I mentioned before, it's my favorite game of all time now. It has bested Link to the Past for completely different reasons. And
I was gonna say, Link Between Worlds was really flanking the top 5.
Oh god, yeah, it was put in the top 10 for me. Yeah. Katie, what are your 5?
Oh, so I really want to say Breath of the Wild, but I haven't beaten it yet. But sure. It's going to be there. So again, shout out to Breath of the Wild. But I will go from 5 to 1 as well. Sure. If I can read my scribble here, because I had to adjust things. Initially, I was like planning only this gin, but now
throws that monkey wrench. Yeah. All of us have like notes that we've been writing everything.
So number 5 for me. Can I have a tie? Is that okay?
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. Totally.
So number 5 is a tie between GTA 5 and Borderlands 2.
Okay, cool. All right.
I'm on the co-op front for that, and I just have such fond memories. I think Borderlands mostly because of the writing of it. But also the ease of co-op and everything, like Claptrap, the gameplay, the guns, like it was a very memorable stylistic game. And it was just fun to play with friends.
I've never played a Borderlands game. That's why I'm buying it for the Switch.
It's great.
That's my Black Friday purchase is Borderlands.
Yeah. 3 is a good game. It's a lot like 2, and that's why I kind of didn't fall on the train as much of that one because it just felt like I was repeating it. But 2 is great, and I freaking love Claptrap. I have he's not up here, but Mike made me like this wooden Claptrap.
Nice. Cool.
So yeah, but in GTA 5, I'm still playing multiplayer with my friends sometimes. It's just like crazy to me that the game came out so long ago.
it's like almost literally game of the decade, like the entire decade.
Yeah, and I haven't really played a campaign, but I love like sumo mode where you have to knock the other cars off of the buildings, and it's just so ridiculous. So number 4 for me would be Skyrim. just because it was very easy for me to get lost in like the world of that game. It did take me a long time to actually beat the campaign, and the narrative of it, like in general, wasn't exactly the best. But just like the overall details of the world and leveling characters, and then when they released a DLC where you can have a house and everything, and yeah, it made it a lot more. I don't know. I love it. And I listen to the soundtrack every time I go out like west to go skiing and stuff like that. Now it was a good time to play that. 3 for me is Final Fantasy 13, which I know is not like it wasn't the most popular Final Fantasy, especially because the first part of it was so linear. But playing it, I don't know if it was the particular time in my life that I was playing it or not, but I just loved the characters.
Yep.
And so that just kind of like allowed me to ignore the fact that the first like 5 or 6 hours or maybe even 8 hours was linear.
40 hours, I think, actually.
Yeah,
but
that shit doesn't bother me.
It didn't bother me either.
13 is a good game. It's just that's like Final Fantasy 7. Like even in the original one is this like the first
disc is
the
like
first
the most.
disc is just walking from A to B. There's very little going around. The remake was the same way, where it's just there's not much. You're just going to the same places over and over again. And that's fine as long as there's as long as I'm compelled by what's going on.
I hope we get the next gen collection. I really do.
All of the 13 shit on the one thing. 13's a great Final Fantasy game.
It was awesome. I remember I beat it once, and then I played it again for an Extra Life marathon because I didn't know what to play, and I was like, this will keep me engaged for 24 hours at least. So I replayed it. Yeah, I love the characters of the game, the style of it. The combat I thought was a really interesting take on like the turn-based kind of hybrid combat. Yeah. I enjoyed that with the paradigm systems and everything. So that was fun. So yeah, Final Fantasy 13, and then 2 for me was The Last of Us 2. And that was really hard to pick between one and
2 of them. Yeah.
But I think that the overall like narrative and the feelings that I had for the characters into were just like strengthened from playing 1, if that makes sense. And I feel like a sequel normally like doesn't do very well, at least in my like experience of playing games. But for me, this is like the rare time where the sequel kind of outdoes or just expands on the emotions that I felt with the first one. But it just was like an emotional like roller coaster. I have never been beaten up like by a game so much as I have that game. And it just like sticks with you. So I don't want to spoil anything that happens in it, but it was just, and in the gameplay, I mean, it plays a lot like the first one, but it's still like fun, like strategically to figure out like if you want to take a more stealth approach, especially if you're playing on a higher difficulty. It gets really freaking hard, and there are no resources at all. So it still has a lot of fun gameplay elements as well.
I appreciate like they did a really good job at presenting you with a character that you shouldn't like.
Yeah.
And then like oh, all right. I get like
the way that it like ties into themes of like, can you possibly like forgive? Like, is that it just like, and I like what you said, JJ, about it being like it would be a mediocre narrative if it's perhaps a movie or a script in that way, but the fact that you have to like make these choices and you're forced into like these things.
Yeah,
I think a common critique is sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that was probably the same point. It's like the critique being that it forces you to do these things. Like it's trying to teach you a lesson of like, killing's wrong, but you're gonna have to kill this person anyways. And I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Narratively, that's the point. Like, yes, it's forcing you to do this, and you maybe, if it were you probably wouldn't be doing it if you had open world or whatever, like open say in it, like if it was a Skyrim or something. But that's not the point that they're trying to make.
Yeah,
this. It's like,
it's not that style
in this
game,
world.
Genre.
Like she was raised in this world of just constant murder, nonstop, no matter what. Every moment of her life is murder. Of course, that would be her sort of default decision choice to make.
Yeah.
Like I think the discourse is weird around that game, but
it is strange, and it kind of made me disappointed in like the community at large, like the way that it was review bombed. I understand where some of the criticism was coming from.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of it was very much like something.
That's sort of the difference between a reasonable person and most of the internet. It's like, no, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Like, but at the same time, I don't don't agree with you.
Yeah.
However, I get it. I think you're wrong, but I get it.
Because Abby's arms are too big, then like obviously you haven't seen female CrossFitters. Like
yeah.
So that was an incredible game. And then number 1 for me is Witcher 3. So Wild Hunt.
I assumed Witcher was going to be on at least a list.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's taken this long to get somebody's list.
It's so good. I finally beat it. I had it when it first came out, but then I really didn't like touch it until it took the Netflix series to like really make me I'm curious about this now. And then I beat it in like 3 or 4 weeks because I had nothing better to do with my life.
You know what my problem is with Skyrim and Witcher 3 and why I have a problem with it? Despite being the Disney person, I don't really care about fantasy.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's fantasy's my jam.
Yeah, like Lord of the Rings, like Skyrim, all this stuff just never clicked with me. So it takes me I like Skyrim, but boy, it takes me a long time to really just kind of find my groove in that kind of Morrowind or whatever.
Yeah. So, I grew up with Lord of the Rings. Fantasy is why I love reading. It's why I love RPG games. So I the only sci-fi game I really think I enjoyed was Mass Effect. And unfortunately 3 doesn't make the list at all because 3 was not nearly as good as the first 2. But
yeah, Mass Effect 2 was very close to because boy I played the hell out of Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. But they do a remaster of that for the next gen as well.
Yeah, where the hell's the trilogy for that? You would have thought for sure a Mass Effect trilogy would have been a slam dunk. Really.
Yeah, you never know. But Witcher just the world of it. I think CD Projekt Red just did a really incredible job, making it very coherent and together and feel low fantasy. I didn't quite feel like I was playing a fantasy game necessarily. Yeah. It kind of felt, it was very realistic at the same time. And it was still kind of brutal and the characters were fantastic. I loved how the side quests all contributed to the end game, the end result of things that happened. There were things that I didn't think would be a big deal that ended up you just killed a village of children. I'm okay, great. That wasn't intentional. That's not what I wanted to do, but you just had to go with it. So it was a really, really good game. So, and now I want to go play all the DLC for it.
Excellent. Always good stuff. Sam, what about you?
Well, since everybody went 5-1, I'll go in reverse.
You're going to go the opposite. 2, 3, 4, 1, 5.
Yes. I will do my PIN number for my debit card. If you can figure out what order that is, congratulations. You can unlock it. So yeah, number 1, and I think Dali, you mentioned it. Breath of the Wild. We're not discussing game of the decade. We're discussing greatest game of all time, at least as of now. I think with a lot of these games, especially the ones we've had towards the top, player efficacy is the number 1 thing that people look for, and man, does that game deliver it in spades. From anywhere from just figuring out a cool puzzle yourself to watching speedrunners figure out that you can angle logs in a certain way to launch yourself halfway across the map, because that's just how the engine works. Yeah. And you as a normal casual player, if you figure out how to make that momentum happen and just aim the tree at an enemy, that's just something you figure out, and that's cool, and you can show somebody.
It's specifically designed to let you go buck wild, and I respect that.
Yeah, if the Switch Pro happens, it just needs a built-in GIF maker. Man! How much stuff has worked in Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild? Anything really, even Mario Kart and Luigi's suspicious look. Just gift that off and upload it automatically to all of your social platforms, Nintendo.
You bring up that engine where you can do anything, and that's how I beat the game. Everybody was listing these incredible all right, we got to do this to beat Ganon, or you got to do this and this and this and this, and I all these lists because I was hopping on GameFAQs to try to figure out certain things, which is totally fine, and I legit ended up finding my own ways to beat the game with accidents.
Yeah,
just I'm gonna throw a bomb on a wall, and I'll then grab something with my magnesis, and then the bomb will land over here, and it'll kill the guy instantly, and done.
It's a game that really lets you just sort of fall ass backwards into success sometimes.
Yes,
Like,
yes. It's so good. It's so good.
Like experience is the best teachers. We're not going to hold your hand. I love how it rewards curiosity. Like,
yeah.
Well, and it's so fitting that the everybody in that environment just treats you like a child, even though you're like an adult in this world to begin with. You've just been asleep for 100 years, and everybody's like, "Oh, Link, you've never seen this before." It's like, I've seen this all the time. I'm Link. Yeah, so Breath of the Wild, just a phenomenal game. You said it, for all the Zelda fans that are going to get mad, it is a better game than A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
And A Link Between Worlds is in the top probably 10 games of the decade.
Yeah.
Even, by the way, even Ryan Gann has officially declared Breath of the Wild his favorite Zelda game, and that's a big one to
Number 2 on no one's list so far, so don't I feel unique. Metal Gear Solid 5.
Boy, it was between Portal 2 and Metal Gear Solid 5 for me.
Yeah, the original game for player efficacy.
Yeah.
Man, does that game just give you a set of things that you can just set up nightmares if you want. And then also you could just be the stealthy boy and not have to worry about anything at all. But the idea that like you are generating a like company essentially to progress your needs. It's basically like a spy game, but you're not a spy. You're a private military organization, which is maybe scarier. But like you can, like you're like, oh man, it would be really nice to have a Jeep to go into missions. Cool. I'm just gonna take this Jeep here. It's gonna go off into the sky. Sometimes just take goats. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna
say the upgrade tree is one of the most satisfying upgrade trees because by the time you get to the end of it, you've got some weird shit going on. Like, I've got portals that are just sucking Jeeps into nothingness, and like camo that scares the living shit out of people, and
there's so many systems in it that like if you really want to get granular with them too, like you definitely can. You want to make money doing missions in it that they give you. You can do that, and then while you're in there, just be like, oh hey, I need this sort of chemical or whatever for a research project that I got going on. Just gonna do this a little bit extra on this mission and get that and go do that. And it's just such a fun game to just try things out and have very little like I don't know, chance of failure or chance of impacting you in the long run that you wouldn't be able to complete it. And then there's just also something very fun about it feeling like it's not done. Like you're just watching somebody's, but it's not done in a way that's different from like how a Skyrim's not done. Whereas Skyrim, like you just expect, oh, I've got to like go back to an old save because a quest just bugged out and I can't progress anymore. Where it just doesn't work because like they just didn't finish the story. They just didn't have enough time, and there's missions that lead to nowhere or like hint at things that just don't exist because they just didn't finish it.
Yeah, because we know that act was cut entirely. Like there's proof of that act being cut. It's on the collector's edition. Like there's video of it. Like. But
well, and that game was early on what games were going to look like now at the end of the generation. It ran just phenomenally well, and even the base systems. It was also on PlayStation 3 and
PlayStation 3.
Was it not? At least PlayStation 3. Like that's nuts. This game was halfway through the generation, runs like a dream on the current consoles, and then hopefully runs well on those ones too. And then again, it just comes down to player efficacy, and there's so much that you can do in that.
Just trying to do all of the little bullshit. Like I'm gonna set up some inflatable soldiers. I'm gonna do some, just.
I just need this guy to pay attention to something else for 2 seconds. So I'm gonna put like, what do they call them? Lady magazines or whatever they call their pornos. You just put them down and they're like, oh, what's this? And you're like 2 seconds break and sneak.
Lady magazines. Welcome to 1960 at the Sam's house.
They don't call them. It's not like porn. I forget what they call them in the game,
but it does the thing that the most recent Hitman games have done too, where sometimes having your shit blow up in your face is super fun. Just like, well, how do I fix this? guess I just have to kill everyone now.
A bad plan
Try to figure out a way to do that.
Results if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Excellent. Good choice, Sam.
Yes, so that's number 2. Number 3, this was the highly debated one because there's a couple of close but didn't make it ones we'll talk about later. But Super Mario 3D World, which is very kindly getting a Switch remake next year. I think I'm on record as saying it's probably the best Mario game, and I will say that even over Super Mario Odyssey, because that to me is what. If you're somebody that started with Mario and you're an older person that's just used to the 2D Marios, even the original Mario, there's still that kind of base concept there in that 3D simulation. And then at the same time, if you're used to Super Mario 64 or any of the 3D ones going forward, you're kind of used to that movement and understanding that sort of like 3 jump system and running and the sort of items that you encounter. And I just think it's great that you can play with 4 people. The Wii U, I know, is like not the system of choice really for the top games ever. But hopefully with this Switch port that they're doing, the newer content, that game gets like really the praise it deserves, because that is such a good like multiplayer experience if anybody has even the slightest hint of Mario experience.
Yeah. And the mischief in that multiplayer can be just super fun as well. So
well, and that game does a very good job of having like, all right, we're going to be a serious Mario level here, and there's going to be jumps you have to time right if you want to finish it, and there will be stuff that like you'll miss if you're not paying attention. But then they have just fun ones like riding on the back of that like dinosaur really early on. It's just you all just kind of have to, okay, well, if we're going to steer it left, we all have to steer it left, and you just rock this drunk dinosaur back and forth.
But then you inevitably get the one friend who just has like, maybe not.
Well, and that game has the same like bubble system that the 2D New Super Mario Brothers have. That like, okay, I died, but this part's maybe really tricky, and I'm not great at the game, so I'm going to let you get to that part and get through it, and then you're going to pop me, and then we're going to be back, and we'll all be friends. There's also like those levels where you can get the cherries that duplicate you, and you just get a bunch of everybody running around. There's like 20 odd characters around on the screen. You're just trying to do a couple puzzles, but
Super Mario 128 brought to life.
Let's see here. Number 4, since we're going to stick with multiplayer for the rest of this list. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe specifically.
Good choice.
Hey, you could choose any of the Mario Karts. Just choose your favorite from the past decade. And that's probably a pretty sound choice for a game on here. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just the best one due to it being nostalgia trip for all the old courses. Very good new courses. It's on the Switch and runs great. Also has a ton of assist features present in it that just a great addition to that for people that maybe aren't as pro level drifters as everybody that's been playing in them in Super Nintendo. So great game.
How are they going to, I think Nintendo couldn't figure out a way to top it. Just like what's going to happen with the next Smash Brothers, they're not going to know how to top it, and so they're just putting out a Mario Kart Live, right?
No, they'll do what they did with Double Dash and make something different as like a stop.
That's what they'll have to. Yeah, they'll have to try.
Like it was like
this will never happen. This is a pipe dream, Mario Kart. Hire me, Nintendo, and let me direct you. It would be a Mario Kart that's like, it has brand new courses, but then also has those sort of like remake courses of the past. But then if you wanted to do multiplayer or like certain cups and stuff, you could do it where it's like a Master Chief collection, where the first round is a like round of the new Mario Kart. The next round is a round of Double Dash, like emulated. But with your character, it's like a new Mario character. It's just that character in Double Dash then. And,
they did that with Street Fighter.
Nintendo Race and stuff like that. That would be the best, coolest way to do that. But they won't do it. Like that'll never happen.
No, I tell you,
but that would be awesome.
You do Mario Kart Pro, where it's like Forza. It's a simulator. You get your kart, and then you have to get your licenses. You have to.
Oh, there you go.
It's really granular. You have to tune your kart. Do you want
Mario
racing
Kart
slicks?
Live, which is an RC car that drives around your house.
There you go.
See that
driving
simulator. That is Mario. Yeah.
What's your number one?
Well, my number 5
or 5, whatever.
Breath of the Wild's number 1.
Yeah.
If anybody thinks, no, that sounds like a threat. If anybody thinks anything else, they're crazy. No, it's just a great game.
Yeah.
And 3 out of 4 agree, and maybe 4 out of 4 at some.
I would say 4 out of 4. I'm an honorary.
I don't want to pressure you into loving Breath of the Wild, but it is the best game ever made. So
I was able to cut my horse's mane and put a new saddle on it. It's like already my game. So
one thing that I didn't mention it before was. And I wanted to, I forgot, but was the way Zelda reacts to Link in the flashbacks, when you get to those flashbacks, she is deeply concerned for his well-being at the same time as she's concerned for this whole process. And Link's just like, I stuck doing this props. I gotta go do this job. I go do this job out back, and poor Zelda's like, yo, you guys, why are you making him literally he's going to die? You know that, right? And so I think there's this really cool dichotomy in there, Zelda, and how she's genuinely concerned for him. And yeah, anyway, sorry, go ahead. What's your number 5?
I was gonna say, I really hope they don't fuck up sort of the lore with the Hyrule Warriors Calamity thing.
I'm buying the heck out of that, though. That's for sure.
They showed footage of that today. That game looks great.
It looks great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can't wait to buy that and Pikmin Deluxe. Who remembered that it was coming out at the end of October? Yeah. I sure didn't. Number 5. This is going to be out of left field. I feel. League of Legends.
Ooh, wow. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I played that game for probably 6 years out of this decade. If I could probably sit down and play it right now if enough people wanted to play. It opened an entire new genre of games for me that I've been, MOBAs. We now play Smite. Now that's the game. I hate Smite, but it's what all my friends play, and it's good enough to play, so it's not too bad. But yeah, League of Legends. I have a cat that was sitting on my lap for part of this show. Who's named after a character from that game.
Really?
So it's kind of weird to say because obviously, nowadays, League of Legends isn't a huge game for me. I'm not watching any of the worlds that are going on right now. KDA is cool. I really like those K-pop songs they keep coming out with. I played it a lot, and it is a huge, huge game and continues to be and will probably continue to be. When it comes out to consoles, which I think they're going to do with that Wild Rift, I will probably start playing it again, and then it will be a major issue.
Game of the next decade.
It's number 5. I would like to give shout-outs to Destiny 2, which is on this list because you can't put Destiny 1 and 2 together. So Destiny 2 is on there. Smash Brothers Ultimate for just being awesome. The Nintendo Switch for being the best game of the decade also. And then also Forza Horizon 4 because that's probably the best driving thing you can do if you're into cars and want to play a driving game by yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent choices.
I'll give my other 2 also rans on this just because I figure why not. But
sure.
Death Stranding was on there at one point. Okay. I fucking love Death Stranding. But Mario Maker 1. Mario Maker 1 was
the original,
close to. I think the original one's better. It may not have the same feature set, but I think one was weirder, and I prefer.
It had some costumes.
Yeah, it had the costumes, and it had the way the Miiverse integration stuff played out in that, where people were telling stories with that bullshit too. That game was infinitely weirder than the second one, and people got more creative with it because they had less tools with it, and I just think it was a better game than this Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, I almost had. I mentioned Last of Us. Almost put that on there. Shadow of Mordor was a game I was going to put on there because it was such a cool concept and how the enemies.
Yeah.
So it's still influencing some of the best, some new games here and there. So there you go. Well,
can we give like a grieving, like a moment of silence for PT and like what PT
is not going to be
demo of the decade.
Yeah. I'm so mad because I sold my PS4 and then I bought another one and I sold my PS4 that had PT on it.
Yeah.
So now like every time like Sony's like, hey, PT can't download. I'm just like, stop reminding me that I like made that mistake, Sony. Like,
no, see, my PS4 got stolen, so it's it's doubly shit. Like,
oh no.
So so it's like. Cool.
I have PT on a hard drive. I think the old PS4 hard drive that came with it. When I installed the new hard drive, I thought it was everything will transfer over fine. No, not PT.
No, oh, it sucks.
And everyone, and the like Steam got like loaded down with people just trying to make their own version of PT in any way, shape they can.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I think I learned a lot about your gaming habits over the last 10 years. Mostly good, I gotta say, mostly good habits. I
like mostly because then everyone's gonna be like, who's he talking shit to?
Who's he talking shit to? Now I have to re-listen to this whole thing. No, Aaron is what I'm talking about. No, a great collection of games. These are all. I mean, all these are fantastic, and I just hope this next decade it's already starting with some great games. So, I think it's going to keep. Next 2021 is going to be absolutely freaking insane with everything getting delayed into that year. So, great news, great games, great times. Thank you again. You can find us at SideQuesting.com. SideQuesting on Twitter, on all over the place. We're on Amazon Audible Podcast, Google. We're on everything possible, Spotify, wherever. We're everywhere. You can find us individually. I'm at Dolly Dimovsky. Sam's nowhere except on the podcast, so I'm just going to skip over him. JJ, where can we find you?
The _double_J on Twitter and DisneyCompendium.com.
Yes, check out the Great Disney Compendium podcast. It's a lot of fun. And you got a good one. You're a little delayed in one right now, right? And
yeah. We just recently got out Princess and the Frog, but we're kind of scheduling's rough, so I'm just kind of pushing older ones right now. So you can listen to the other movie show that I do, or you just Killing Them Softly, the weird Brad Pitt mobster movie from a couple of years ago for some reason.
Nice.
Heaven's Gate episode comes out Friday.
Wow.
So if you've never seen Heaven's Gate, listen to that episode because that movie is fucking insane.
And Katie, where may we find you?
You can find me at Twitter hang on, I changed my tag. It's
you changed it. I had to find you. Yeah.
I know. And Wordy_cat, or on Instagram at cat_a_Graham.
Excellent. And with that, we will let you all have a wonderful rest of your evening, rest of the weekend. We'll see you on the next episode of The Side Quest. Bye-bye. Love ya.
Bye.